Hello, my friends. How are you? What's going on? Welcome to Monday. We're already in the second week of May. I don't know how that's possible. Anyways, I want to welcome you if you are new to watching or joining me live on this Life with Herpes live. Welcome. This is an opportunity for you to ask your questions. It's an opportunity for you to dive deep, ask the questions that maybe you're like, oh, do I want to ask these questions? Do I not want to ask these questions? I have been talking about this publicly since 2017. So I've been talking about living with herpes, life with herpes, what it is to date with herpes, what it's like to do all sorts of things with herpes. So I have been doing this, like I said, talking live about it since 2017. I was diagnosed with HSV1 in 2003 and HSV2 in 2011. So I've been living with this for a couple decades. Obviously, I don't like to say a couple of decades. I feel a little old. But anyways, I have been dealing with this for a couple of decades. Having both types. I have type 1 oral, HSV1 type 1 oral, and HSV type 2 down there. And both of them are extremely different. That type 1 oral doesn't have the stigma attached to it. It's something that it doesn't even bother me. It's nothing, I don't get outbreaks. I just don't deal with it type 1 orally. However, type 2 genitally down there is something I deal with all the time. I had to deal with the dating, I had to deal with the stigma, I had to deal with the trauma of being diagnosed, how to deal with the anger of being diagnosed, how to deal with how to disclose that I had herpes to potential partners. All sorts of interesting things when it comes to living with herpes. So like I said earlier on this live, if this is something that you have questions about or are newly diagnosed, or if you are dating someone with herpes or you know someone that has herpes, definitely ask your questions here and I will go through and ask them in the order that they arrive. I also love seeing the hearts. So thank you for the hearts. I enjoy seeing that. And if, like I said, if you know anyone that has herpes, please share this information with them. So you said, how did it transform from HSV1 to HSV2? So it doesn't. HSV1 and HSV2 are both their own type of the virus. So HSV1 will always be HSV1. HSV2 will always be HSV2. I just happen to have both types. So I have HSV1 oral. I got that from going on a date with somebody who kissed me at the end of the date with a cold sore. He had an active cold sore and he kissed me and I ended up getting HSV1 oral. HSV2 genital was from somebody different. I was dating someone and he did not know that he had HSV2 genital. He did not know that he had genital herpes. So I ended up getting it down there a couple years later. So they're both two different types from two different people. So just to make that clear, that's a really good question that you ask. Type 1 doesn't mutate or change into type 2, and type 2 doesn't change into type 1. You can have type 1 or 2 in either location. So just because you have herpes on your mouth doesn't mean that you have oral, it doesn't mean that you have type 1 or type 2. You would have to actually get that tested to find out if it's type 1 or type 2. Same thing down there. It's normally associated or commonly thought, oh, I have it down there, it must be type 2. It doesn't mean that it's type 2. It could be type 1 or type D or type 2. It is so common. You are correct. Herpes is so common. Majority of the population has it. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So it's extremely common, and extremely common that you're going to come across it, whether you are dating or not dating, whether you have family members, friends, they're going to have it in their life. Could herpes be all? Meaning, is that all I have? Like, is that the only, are those the STDs I have, or could herpes be all that you have? Can you please let me know what you think there? Are you able to have casual encounters with herpes? Absolutely. You can absolutely do that. It's a matter of disclosing. It's a matter of you becoming okay with your herpes diagnosis and approaching it with confidence and authority. And here's what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do to prevent transmission. I personally did not have casual encounters, but you can do whatever you want. I know many people that still are able to be casual and have casual dating. The differences that I feel is once someone has been diagnosed with an STD, especially a lifelong STD, I feel that they definitely approach it differently, and they approach it a little bit more, less casual. It's definitely a little bit more, what are we going to do here? and how are we going to approach it together. It's more of a conversation about sexual health and safe sex, less of like, oh yeah, we're fine, we're fine, nothing's going to happen. So I have noticed that with a lot of people that do have herpes and that do have casual partners absolutely approach it a little bit differently. Guys, thank you for the hearts. I love seeing the hearts. I appreciate it. And thanks for joining me, of course, on this Monday. How do you know when you're having an outbreak? So for me personally, it's pretty hard not to know. Other people are going to be different. So let me just talk about the signs and symptoms of herpes. So a lot of times what is called is prodromes. So prodromes are the leading symptoms of an outbreak. It can be swollen lymph nodes. It can be worn down, flu-like symptoms. It can be exhausted, and those can just be some body signs that you may be getting an outbreak. Then for the actual outbreak, it can be a nerve pain. So it can feel like a jolt going to the area. It can feel like I like to use the example of a rubber band snapping on your skin. It leaves kind of a hot spot. So it can be that in the area. It can be an itch. So you're like, I just have this itch, I can't get it. It can be a tingle, like a spider is walking on your skin. And these are all symptoms of what it can be like leading up to it. Then it can be like a paper cut. It can be a one blister or a cluster of blisters. For me, it's the nerve pain. Some people can feel nerve pain down their legs or down their back. But for me, it's the nerve pain of the actual area. It's a different sensation than say like, ooh, that didn't feel right. Like it's just like, ooh, I can feel it in my bones type of thing because it runs along our nerves. Could a person have HSV1 then okay. Could a person have HSV1 then have HSV2 oral? So you can have multiple types. You can have HSV1, you can have HSV2. You can have HSV1 oral and HSV2 oral. You can have HSV2 oral and HSV1 genital. You can have HSV1 and HSV2 down there. You can have them all over in different combinations of it. So again, we want to get away from the idea that the one up here is the good kind and it's HSV1. One up here is not good or bad. There's nothing to attach to it. It's herpes. The majority of the population has herpes, so HSV1 and HSV2 can be oral, and HSV1 and HSV2 can be genital. Sorry, just joined. What is the difference again? There really is no difference. They're just different types of the same virus. So there's type 1 and type 2. They basically do the same thing. Type 1 is more common than type 2, but it doesn't mean that they're really any different. Can you get tested for HSV1 and HSV2? You can. There's a couple of different ways. If you have an active outbreak, you have an active lesion, you would get that area swabbed. So you just go to the doctor, have the doctor swab it for the viral DNA, and that would tell you what type you have. You can also get a blood draw. It is the herpes virus does not live in our blood. It's not a blood disease, but what they're pulling for in a blood draw are the antibodies. So you would know what type you have. You would know if you have type 1 or type 2. But what you wouldn't know is where it's located. So what happens a lot of times is people will go get just a normal blood draw, don't even realize they're maybe even have herpes on there. Their doctor may have ordered it. It comes back saying, oh, you have HSV1. And people go, oh, okay, I must have it orally. It doesn't mean you have it orally. You may have it genitally as well, or genitally. Do I have kids? I do. I have a little boy. He's 3. Being a mommy's the best. I do have a little boy. I'm confused. I'm confused what shedding is. Nervous I can't have casual encounters if that happens. So what is viral shedding? So viral shedding is just like any other living organism. It sheds. So we have trees that drop its leaves. We have my poor orchid. I didn't water it. You can see that my flowers are going to fall off here. Things shed, right? So the virus sheds viral DNA, just like my orchid is going to shed its flowers. So what happens is when that occurs, it goes up to the surface of the skin wherever you're contagious. So if you have oral herpes, the virus is going to go out of being dormant and go up to the surface of your skin. You may not have any signs or symptoms. You may have no tingles. Sometimes you may have tingles. You may feel that, but it's typically asymptomatic and the host does not know that they are contagious. So because of that, that is why we need to disclose we have herpes. Because of that, that's why it's important to discuss with the partner. Because of that, we don't know when we are contagious. So also using a condom is great, but it only protects you between 30 and 50% of the time. So you may be contagious in an area where the condom doesn't cover you. Guys, thank you for sharing the lives. I see that you're sharing it. Like I said, if you know someone that has herpes or you have herpes, definitely follow, share. I am here to educate. I am here to spread the word. I appreciate you doing that. So thank you. Also, I love seeing the little hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am going to go in the next 5 minutes, just giving you guys a heads up. I'm seeing I have lots and lots of comments coming through. I do go through them to the best of my ability in the order that they arrive, but I do have an emergency call that I'm hopping on. I do offer one-on-one calls. That is what I'm jumping onto. I have a one-on-one call with somebody coming up. Don't you need an outbreak for it to exactly show positive? No, you do not need to have an active outbreak for it to be positive. So you can be asymptomatic. In fact, most of the population are asymptomatic, and so therefore most people don't know they have it. And so you don't need to have an outbreak to show that you have it. Does it cause fertility issues? Nope, not at all. It does not cause fertility issues. So you can absolutely get pregnant. You can have a normal pregnancy. You can have a vaginal delivery. Of course, I'd recommend talking to your doctor about it. I had a vaginal delivery and my child does not have herpes. The latest on the herpes vaccine. So I'm going to be honest, I do not know that much about a herpes vaccine. It's something that I do not believe that we should put our life on hold to wait for a vaccine. It's like putting everything on hold to wait for a solution, and really the solution's mental. The solution is something that you have to overcome regardless of a vaccine, a pill, or whatever it is. So we don't know when it's going to come. It could come in 5 months, could come in 5 years, could come in 15 years. I don't know. And it's something that millions and millions of people have lived with for as long as Earth has been on this, as long as humans have been on this Earth, people have dealt with it. The only issue we have now is we have a stigma attached to it. So I'm going to invite everyone to move through that trauma of the stigma rather than looking for a solution. Because yes, there could be a solution. That's awesome. But who knows what that vaccine is going to do? Is it going to help people that already have herpes? Why would we take a vaccine for something that we already have, right? So it may not help you per se. Could it help potential partners? Maybe, but we don't know what that is yet. So again, not to like rain on anyone's parade that is looking for some sort of vaccine for a herpes diagnosis. Absolutely. Do I believe that there will be one? 100,000%. Is it coming? Absolutely. Are people working on it? Yes, they are. Do I know what the actual news is? I don't. What about if no symptom? Whoa. Hold on. What about if no symptoms for HSV1? Would you recommend a retest? I mean, if you want to, if you tested positive with the antibodies, you have it. I mean, there's always room for inaccurate testing, of course, but if you test positive, it's kind of hard to be negative. It's been not proven, but it's happened where people test negative, but they're really positive. But if you test positive, you probably have it. But if you feel more comfortable, absolutely go get tested again and talk to your doctor about it. Absolutely. Can you spread it to someone if you don't have any outbreaks? Unfortunately, you can. It's due to viral shedding. I was just talking about that earlier. The virus can shed without symptoms. So when that happens, you can potentially transmit it. How did you get rid of it? I didn't. Herpes is something we cannot get rid of. It's going to be in our bodies forever. We're going to die with it. We're going to die with all the viruses that we have. At this point, we don't know how to rid our bodies of viruses. We can allow them to go dormant in our body by eating the right way, having a lifestyle, taking certain supplements. I take lysine daily, which helps with the herpes virus. It helps keep it out of replication mode. I take this daily. I take angiographisc daily, which is very powerful and potent in fighting the herpes virus. And then I also take monolaurin daily, which helps us fight enveloped viruses, which is what the herpes virus is. It's enveloped, meaning it has an outer shell. So these are the supplements I take daily. They are linked for you in the bio. You do get a 10% discount, and I have them linked for you. You can check them out. This is what I take daily for herpes supplements. I don't have any symptoms, but when it's active, I had a lot of discharge and itching. What can I do? Honestly, I don't know if there's really anything you can do for the discharge and itching, other than, like I said, lysine. I would that I like Epsom salt baths. Well, I don't take them enough, but I do the Epsom salt, which is the recovery soak. This can help you with any of the itching muscles. It can do all sorts of things. This is specifically formulated to help with herpes. If you don't have a bath, I just used it to exfoliate the other day, but it does wonderful things. So this is great. Thank you. You're welcome. Personally, having HSV2 has been much easier to deal with compared to people I know with HSV1. You know, I'm glad you look at it that way because I feel the same way. Nobody knows when I have it down there. Everybody knows when I have it up here, right? And you just have to deal with it in like society. But nobody knows when you have a genital outbreak. So I think personally it's better. What if you're scared to tell your partner? Can you get in trouble? I don't know about legal trouble. In some states you can, some states you can't. But I would invite yourself to look at it a different way. What if it was reversed? Would you want your partner to disclose or not disclose? What if it was reversed and you had that option to know? What if this partner turns into a long-term partnership and a spouse? Is that person going to trust you going forward? I've talked to people that are married that have come clean and they're like, now I have issues in my relationship because I didn't disclose and this is the only thing I haven't disclosed, but now my partner doesn't trust me. So there's bigger fish to fry. I like to say that having the herpes disclosure conversation should be the easiest, hardest conversation you have. Easiest, hardest. Is it fun to talk about this? No. Do I like telling my husband that I have a herpes outbreak? No. But does he judge me for it? No. Is he upset with me? No. Does he do anything different? No. It's like, oh, okay, got it, thanks. You know? So if a person's not going to accept us with our herpes diagnosis, then this is not our person. This is not our person. So yes, does it hurt to have that breakup? Absolutely. Does it hurt to have that rejection? Absolutely. But that was most likely going to be inevitable regardless. Is it good to put ice on it? It definitely can help with the pain. It's not good or bad. I've heard of people doing that. Very low positive. How soon can you get tested again? I'd wait a couple weeks. I'd wait like 6 weeks and get tested again. If you're taking the antivirals, then I would stop taking the antivirals so you can get tested again. Can you tie first outbreak to partner at that time? It is very hard. How can you pinpoint who you got your herpes from is if you were getting tested periodically and you've had negative tests and then suddenly you have a positive test. That could be one way, and that partner also is positive. If you have a positive test and that partner's negative, then you must have picked it up from someone else. But if you've always been tested for herpes and had negative tests, then yes, you can probably pinpoint that partner. The problem is most of us are not getting tested for it. My uncle has an outbreak and said it's herpes, but it's all over his body from head to toes. It could be some other herpes. There's hundreds of different herpes viruses. It could be shingles. It could be chickenpox. It could be HSV 1 or 2. You would have to ask him and have him get tested. How do you know if you're asymptomatic, meaning you are positive for herpes, but you do not get outbreaks? Has your partner gotten it from you, and how did you not transmit your child during birth? My husband doesn't have it. My ex-boyfriend doesn't have it, to my knowledge. I don't talk to him. But my son doesn't have it. I did not pass it during childbirth. I was able to take antivirals, and I took the antiviral when it was my due date and was able to have him vaginally. If you're shedding, you won't know if you're shedding, but yeah, they'll do a C-section if you think you are at any risk of transmitting. All right, guys, I would love to keep going with all these questions. I have to run. I have an emergency call that I'm going to jump on. Like I said, I do book emergency calls. I do have all the products linked that I showed you. And if you do have any questions about topical products, I do have them all linked. We have like the Rescue Balm. We have our Reviver soap. You guys love this soap. It sells out like almost every month. Anyways, all linked in the bio. I will see you soon, and I will go live again tomorrow and answer your questions that I missed. Like I said, I wish I could stay and answer all your questions. Have a great Monday, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you for all the hearts. Bye. That sounded weird. Bye.